Financial disclaimer. The information provided in this stream is for educational and informational purposes only and should not be considered as professional financial or investment advice. We are not licensed financial advisors, and the content presented here is based on our personal opinions and experiences. Investing in stocks and other financial instruments involves risk, including the potential loss of capital. Any investment decisions you make are solely your own responsibility, and you should conduct your own research and consult with a qualified financial professional before making any investment choices. The content we share on this stream may not be accurate, complete, or up to date. Market conditions and financial regulations can change rapidly, and we cannot guarantee the accuracy or reliability of the information presented. We do not endorse or promote any specific stocks, companies, or investment strategies. Any actions you take based on the content of this stream are at your own risk, and we will not be held liable for any losses or damages that may occur as a result. Always remember that past performance is not indicative of future results, and no investment is guaranteed to be profitable. Make informed decisions and consider your risk tolerance before investing any funds. By accessing and using this stream, you acknowledge and agree that we are not responsible for any investment decisions you make as a result of the content presented. You are encouraged to seek advice from qualified financial professionals for personalized guidance. Please invest responsibly and only with money you can afford to lose.
Hey man, just found the next guaranteed multi-bagger.
Hey man, you found another one? What is it this time?
Come check this out.
Hey, cheers everybody. We're at the end here. Got a day left till we get the news on BNED. I know there's a possible week extension. Let's not even think about that. That would be only depressing because I'm sick of waiting, but whatever. I'm excited. I don't know if anybody else is excited, but I think we've reached the point here. I still don't see personally any reason why they would be calling this bankruptcy at this point. Why would you pick this time? You'd wait this whole time to say bankruptcy. You could have said this a long time ago. And the other thing too is they technically aren't bankrupt until December, so it still doesn't make any sense to me. And another point that I was talking about with Private is if you follow that their 10Q from last year when they did the amendment, it's almost the exact same setup. They basically said that they're going to they took a little bit extra to file, and they said basically about a month from that point that they were going to amend their credit agreement. Same thing in this one. Said they have amended their credit agreement. And, a month later they did. Now, this was way, way earlier in FDC, which wasn't really proven yet. So that's the huge difference right now is now we have FDC, and it's this growing model that's like it's becoming successful. And we're just about to hit a point of inflection where this thing becomes positive cash flow. Well, it is positive operating cash, but net earnings, what I'm saying. So I'm excited. Like I said, we're at the very end here. Hopefully we get news tomorrow, and it could be one of a few things. I'm thinking merger or sale, possibly some kind of just refinance in general. There could be share dilution. So obviously, you still got to do, if you guys haven't invested or you are considering investing, you please do your own due diligence. Don't listen to just off what we're saying. This is a binary situation now. I still think the chance of bankruptcy is low, which is why it's my largest position. But with that being said, obviously I could still be wrong. Wouldn't be the first time I've been wrong. So just take it for what it is. But, I feel like we've all put a lot of research into this. We've been following this for a long time. So it's nice and it's kind of rare. I feel like that you really have you do get them, but a real timestamp on what's going on. So I'm excited. Keep checking everything, see if there's any news that's come out. I haven't been able to find anything. Just the same group of us kind of talking, waiting to see what's going on. And yeah, I don't know. Actually, I'm curious. When they did it last time, did they put the news out in the morning or in the afternoon? So I don't know if I should be expecting something tomorrow morning early or after post market. I guess it could be during the day too. Who knows? But I'm actually kind of curious on that. I don't know if I'll be able to figure that out. I don't know if it really says exactly when they launch. I hate when their website does that. You have to click like the quick link or it doesn't work. Sorry, I always like the classic version. I can't stand the new setup. I just want to see them all lined up. So I don't think it says exactly what time they released these. So I don't know if I'll be able to go back and find this. But same idea, you know, they inability to file timely. I don't know. It's just the same setup as last time, and you know they amended the credit agreement, which is literally what they said this time. They're going to amend the credit agreement. They already said they've done it. So whatever that means. And obviously, I think the most bearish thing at this point would be just pure share dilution. But with the stock price being, I mean, even today, I don't know what it ended at today. It was down a little bit today, but it's kind of just been bouncing around. It got up into the 70s and then pulled right back. Yeah, I think it ended post hours, just slightly up at 65 cents. So if you're going to dilute from here, I mean, how much are you really going to raise by diluting this? Maybe they will. I can't totally rule that out. I know some people have talked about a rights offering, which in a rights offering, I'm just going to end up probably buying whatever cash I have left because I still believe in the business itself. That's what makes this unique is most. Because I've been watching or reading up, you know, a ton on bankruptcy and distressed investing, and you know everybody's, you know, there's probably 3/4 of investors will just say don't invest in anything like this. It's just too risky. You know, this is just all science. But they constantly show companies that don't have like a business that's turning around and starting to thrive. Like that's the real difference here with BNED and all these other companies that are on like, you know, they're saddled with debt and they you know they keep doing all these things to kind of keep going, but they're just burning the cash, where this is starting to generate cash. So it's a very unique situation, and I do feel like this is a case where, you know, in terms of distressed investments, this one's, you know, the baby being thrown out with the bathwater. So we'll know tomorrow. I mean, we're down to the wire here. I gotta sleep tonight somehow. I gotta, you know, get through work tomorrow. Hopefully they release the news in the morning. It'd be nice to know it, but who knows? But we're close. I mean, and even if it's not tomorrow and they do delay somewhat, we literally only have a week then left. But I would be surprised if you delayed. What would be, I don't know what necessarily, just besides you're trying to tie things up. Johnny was asking me if he thought it would be, you know, if I thought it would be bearish or bullish if they didn't. And just one of the reasons I would still be bullish if they did push it back is really because if you were going to declare bankruptcy, why would you be pushing it back? Like, what is an extra week going to do in terms of bankruptcy? You know, I'm just spitballing ideas, but you know, what would be the benefit of like, okay, if you're going to go bankrupt and the lenders are like, we want our money and whatever, blah blah blah, which. I know it's complicated because of the contracts between the different schools, and those all have to be basically done one by one. So I mean, maybe they just need more time to get through all that. But I would think that wouldn't really matter much. It wouldn't really change my opinion on anything. It just would be a further delay, and I would assume they're still working out getting all this stuff solved, whatever that means. But I don't know if they were going to do that too. You would think that like putting a day on it would become, I don't know, more problematic. But either way, I mean, they do have the extension, so there is a possibility that we don't get news tomorrow, which is more just would be disappointing because, like I said, I'm just impatient at this point. I just want to know. But it's all good. We'll touch on BNED at some point. I still have a few tickers from over the weekend. I have to update just my spreadsheet real quick just to what happened for like insider buys and stuff like that, and we'll do a little screening process tonight, go through those, see what we can find, if there's anything good. I'm just quickly looking through the dashboard here, and lumber saw a little boom. I don't know what's going on there. Copper's up a little bit, nothing crazy. Cattle, price of beef keeps going up, I'm sure. Over on the risk column, some of the names, I mean, Transocean had another. Transocean's been slowly, Rig has been slowly building up here. Baytex, Alcoa, Sylvain, the homes are down. Tesla's continuing to drop. I mean, still nothing like too crazy, but I mean, down here is, you know, where it would become interesting. We do have actual numbers with Tesla now, so it's a you know, you can actually kind of value it, and it not just be a pure projection growth wise and kind of narrative wise. Just making sure you guys can see over there. I'm trying to get used to watching where my face is and making sure my stupid mug's not blocking what you guys are trying to see here. Was it Nvidia's down 1%, but AMD's down 2.5%. That's interesting. I keep seeing Bitcoin's been down a little bit, which, I mean, it's still at 65,000, so it's not really that crazy to me. Canopy continues to rise, so I was saying I wasn't sure if it was the stock that would do it, but I mean, it might have found a new base now. I mean, we'll see. Yeah, like I said, my big thing with Canopy is, you know, do they really benefit from the news in Germany? Maybe it's just the narrative slowly changing into basically being more, just more state or countries are legalized. So you're just going to watch it become a bigger and bigger part of society. And I think there was some news that they would possibly lower the tax on it, which I think it was Canada. So that would be big. I'd have to look at how much they pay in taxes, but it's not cheap enough to me right now where I'm even going to dig into that. So I won't go too crazy with that. And I think that's all I had. MicroStrategy's just back down because it's Bitcoin related. It's like a more aggressive Bitcoin strategy if you want to play. And that's kind of what's going on. I was joking around talking Trump. What did Trump's thing end up at? I don't really care one way or the other. I was just curious because I know the guy's trying to raise money here, and it looked like it had bounced down and it was up 6% for the day. So it had a little bounce back. I mean, we'll see where it is. I guess the actual earnings or whatever came out and were ugly, which I don't know what they. I mean, you know, I would compare this to a Twitter and a Reddit. Although Reddit, I mean, what are we doing here? We're up 9% today. So maybe social media's just had a good day. People are investing in social media. I mean, but Reddit's still down from the initial peak around 70. So that's a significant pullback. But I think, you know, you see an IPO and I feel like a good play almost every IPO is simply, you know, buy initially at the IPO and then flip it because they always seem to pop and then come right back down. Just because I don't think there's enough sustaining power there, and you know, it's almost counterintuitive, but you know, as you get more and more information, it's usually not as good as people assumed, and then the stock price starts to react. But I had a few, like I said, I have a few companies that I had pulled up from the weekend that I just wanted to finish up because I didn't get them. Johnny and I didn't get to them then, so we'll go through those and we'll update, and then we'll keep going on with things. Please, if you guys are in here, please add any tickers you want to look into the comments, or if you have any comments, you want to talk BNED, please let me know. At this point, the only reason I'm not really going even though I'd love to talk about BNED all day, I haven't been able to find too much else up there. I mean, we can keep checking stuff to see if there's any news, but it's not what I wanted to type in. But at this point, I don't know. It'd be wild if they put the news out late tonight, right? Do it on the stream. That'd be sick. But I don't know. Just keep refreshing the pages, you know. See if there's any news. Still 313. Nothing too exciting. But we'll know. Like I said, we'll know soon here. Maybe we'll do a little video tomorrow, just if something changes. Hey, Value, how are you, man? I actually have to look at that, Hussman, because I think it is. I think this is the, so this is his strategic growth one. So, you know, if Hussman starts to do well, then that we've reached the end here. but yeah, I just I just pulled a bunch of these names from RK's thing just because I knew it'd be a good starter point for a lot of things, just strategy wise. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I'm sure he had the same idea with it. So, but that's kind of how he's working, anyways. So it is what it is. But let's see. All right, so I'll just start diving right into. I got contact telecommunications, which is engaged in providing terrestrial and wireless network solutions. Next generation 911 services, satellite space communication technologies, and cloud native capabilities. It's 2 segments: satellite and space communications and terrestrial and wireless networks. So it's all telecommunications, whether it's through space or through whatever other means on the ground, essentially. Looks like share count's up slightly. Margins have gotten worse. It's pretty small. Market cap's under 100 million, but not too small compared to some of the names I look at. So, and looks like it's got a decent amount of debt on here. Nothing too crazy. Although it looks like that debt has become due, whatever that is. So we'll have to delve into that. Looks like earnings are pretty rough the past few years here. So we got to figure out what they're doing to get around that. Because and they got to figure out this debt story too. Obviously, that's why the share dilution slowly keeps going up here. But we're getting close to almost a double over the last 10 years for share count, which isn't the end of the world. It's not like my calculator is not saying that they need to be, diluted essentially to stay alive here. But this is rough here. That cash flow. So they're burning cash really heavy. So without some kind of influx of cash, this is going to struggle. A lot of goodwill you can see between tangibles and intangibles here. And then I think what interested me with these guys is I did see, number one, there's this insider, but this looks like it was in the past year. So it's been a while. That was from June of last year, so almost coming up on a year. It's been almost a year. Looks like it's traded slightly higher than that, but nothing crazy. And don't get me wrong, telecommunication companies typically are saddled with a lot of debt. That's usually how it works. But this one's a little different because I don't think it's necessarily like they own. It's not like a utility where they kind of have like the rights to an area. So the debt here might not be such a good thing. Like that might just be really the business is kind of struggling to stay alive. And how long have they had this debt now for? I mean, they've been at around this level, and they have paid down a little bit, but now it's kind of crept back up, and now a lot of it's due. So let's just real quick go to the SEC and see when this is due. And it looks like they amended their quarterly. They have preferred shares. Convertible preferred shares too at that. Have they? I didn't even notice. Have they been paying on that? Yeah, they have been paying on that too. So, I really don't care for preferred shares here. It actually makes the debt seem even worse to me because now you got preferred shares in front of you as well. And current portion of the long-term debt is due. So, how much cash? They got inventory they could burn. They could. This goodwill is just ridiculous. So it looks like it's a credit facility. So they are saying, though, that they could refinance the existing credit facility. Obviously, they're trying to do that, and or amending or restructuring their Series B convertible preferred stock. So maybe they could offer that as some form of collateral or give that up. So they are in a tight spot here. Let me just see if anyone else that's delved into this a little bit more knows if they have a chance here. This is from December here. Why is it blocking me here? I don't know why it's telling me it's blocking me here. Well, that's a pain. Wonder if it's because, hang on a sec here, let me see if I can do something. Let me just close this down here. All right, we're at, was it CMTL, right? I don't know why it's blocking me all of a sudden. That's a pain. I don't know. I might not be able to look at Seeking Alpha on here until I can figure out why that's not letting me through. It's a real pain. Well, in the meantime, I mean, I guess I could look to see if there's anything transcript wise and just go at least with that. They won't even let you look at the transcript on here? Alright, that's fine. Whatever. We'll just go to the business page. I don't know why they would block a transcript. What does that matter? Although this is from June 21st. Yeah. Yeah, this isn't really going to do anything just because there's not, it's kind of old. And I really need to see more comments on what they're doing now besides that. I mean, my calculator, even though the past few years, it historically has been better off than this. The only problem is, like I said, these margins are so down right now. So the only thing is, I don't know if they would be. I don't know if it would be cheap enough for me. Let me see what I said about it last time. Yeah, and honestly, I almost want to discount that even heavier just because of the preferred shares. Even though, well, they are talking about offering that as collateral, but then you would be even further back, and if they don't really turn the business around, then the preferred shares become even more of a problem. Well, I guess they don't become more of a problem. It's just in bankruptcy, it's like you're really not going to get anything back at that point. But they'd have to come up with a good amount. I mean, they got $34 million in cash and $176 million due. It's probably a little bit less than that because of operating leases, but I doubt it's that much more. So I just want to go to my data here and see what their actual debt number is and just add that back in. All right, and then don't mind me just doing some quick math here. And then will it show me the preferred shares now? I don't know. Can you not buy preferred shares? Are these all just because they're convertible? Are they all owned? I got to trade at something. Oh my gosh, what is all this nonsense? Okay, 166 for preferred. So I would add actually a little bit more onto this. So if that dilutes 5 times at that number, we would dilute at 7 times. So we'll say 651%. So that gives me 431, which whatever, the number's arbitrary, who really cares, but just to give me a better idea of where I'm going to set my margin of safety at here. All right, so we got a ways to go. Thank you, value. Maybe I can check there. Yeah, I think I'm logged in too many spots, and it's starting to give me problems for TIKR Taker.com. Thank you. What do you just have to sign up for this value? Yeah, you're saying for free accounts. I'll do this. I'll have to do it another time though, because I don't want to make an account on here live. But whatever. I'll get Seeking working. It's just a stupid thing. All right, back to here. So I'm not. As this gets a little cheaper, I just, the only thing though is I don't really know. What did it say the actual due date was for that? I should have paid more attention to that, exactly what the date was. I thought it said April, but maybe I'm wrong. It's really annoying not having my screen up over here. Leave this up. And then oh, this is their 8K. I don't need an 8K. But does it say when it's actually due? Let me go. This is why I prefer the classic version, because it's always such a pain to do anything like that. Like if you just do this interactive data, it's so much easier. Oh, October. So they have October. Okay, so we have till October. So I'll probably watch this one as it gets closer to October. That's all I wanted to put in here. Is due in October 24. All right. So iHeartMedia, yeah, I don't know. This one's another one that to me has a lot of like value in assets maybe that you could sell off, but like I don't know how much these things are worth as we get further and further into the future. And this is a stupid amount of debt, especially when your numbers start to turn like that, like minus $1 billion. And it's not like we're even spending on acquisitions or anything. This is straight up minus $1 billion. Yikes. Book value is pretty much negative now, unless it's really heavily diluted. And I mean, that cash flow is nowhere close to enough. It's another ugly one. Just wondering when this one's debt's due. '26 it begins, and that's their term loan at 1.8 billion. Does this list it out by year? Because that's so in 2026 they better figure something out here, because you're gonna watch this really squeeze down when it gets to that point, because that's really ugly. And I mean, they are generating cash, but like, you know, with the dilution and it's also cut in half from just a year ago, and this is 2023, so who knows what it's going to do this year. I don't know if there's anything they can do to get that to figure out. So I'm just trying to work on something here. So I'm just trying to update this ad blocker here, because this is honestly a real pain. The extensions page. Sorry guys, I just want to see if I can get this working here, because this is a real pain. Extensions. Ugh, it's still giving me problems. Alright, whatever. It was worth a try. It's all good. Alright, we'll keep going. I looked at IHRT not that long ago. Said the same thing, that's when the debt's due. So yeah, this one, because it's a lot of debt, and they're going to need some kind of serious positive turnaround. I mean, it says they have a lot in actual assets, but can they really sell these for anything? You know, like a third of that is actually it's almost like almost half of it is goodwill, which has been wrote down heavily. And a chunk of this is operating leases, but still, I mean, this is a stupid amount of long-term debt, so... Yeah, I don't know. I can't picture them doing much to get out of this. And like, you know, I just think there's so much competition from like Spotify and all these other kind of companies, like, and even they were talking about like, you know, Spotify paid up for like Joe Rogan and some of these other big like podcasts and stuff. And while those are huge, Joe Rogan being by far the biggest, I still don't think it's generated a ton of cash for Spotify. Yes, it probably makes them a go-to for most people to use it, so they did gain probably a huge amount of market share, which is a different kind of value, but I don't think it's really paid for itself. And in a company like this, you need that cash. It's not, you can't just be the biggest person. I mean, not with that amount of debt behind you. So I'm going to keep this at that it's looking bankrupt here. Like $1.15 somewhere in there is fine. I'm gonna bring this up to a 2 just because it's not going bankrupt right now unless they trip a covenant, which I didn't really go through the covenants, so you know, something to consider obviously. But I'm gonna wait till this gets cheaper before I get interested anyways. Just because, I mean, this is really ugly. The only thing is I could picture someone coming in and buying it and paying something to kind of get the debt off the books, or, you know, them spinning it off in some sort to get rid of it. This list, by the way, was all like ugly, stressed companies, so everything I'm looking at right now is struggling. That's kind of why I was looking at them. I was seeing if anybody had anything I thought they could squeak out. But so I have not looked at Innovate, which is a holding company, has a portfolio of subsidiaries in a variety of operating segments, has DBM Global, which is infrastructure segment. DBMG is a fully integrated industrial construction, structural steel, and facility maintenance provider that provides fabrication of structural steel and heavy steel plate services. It fabricates tissues and girders, or trusses, sorry, I was like, what the hell, when did paper come in here? And girders, and specializes in the fabrication of large diameter water pipe and water storage tanks. Pansend Life Sciences, which is supporting healthcare and biotechnology product development. Spectrum segment, which is combined of Broadcast Holdings and its subsidiaries. Broadcast acquires and operates over-the-air broadcasting stations across the United States. So it is a pretty diversified holding company at that. And that's tough with some of these. I feel like these never get valued properly, because the real way you're supposed to value something with holdings is depends on the amount that they own in the company. Like if it's over 50%, if it's between 20 and 50, you're supposed to take different amounts and kind of adjust these, because it's more how much those companies will affect the actual balance sheet here and what they own. Like, you know, are they owners? Are they full owners? They're diluting shares pretty heavily. It's a small market cap at 56 with a lot of debt on hand. So I don't know if that's just from the acquisition of these things, but it looks like if anything, they've sold really more than they've acquired. You know, even if you take 10 years of data into account, that's $885 positive $1 million that they've sold. So maybe they could spin off one of these businesses if they can do it effectively. You know, I guess one thing I can do is I can pull up here and at least just see what the major stories are to see if it talks about So this Chris DeMuth is bullish on this. He's on a bunch of these different things talking about this. Is anybody owed this? Ticker was VATE, right? Irrevocable Exempt Trust. It's a strange name. They own this in Manchester United. Okay. Interesting. It's a good way to split it up. Percy Rockdale, it's a big position for them. How many do they is this all they own, is those three? Got some strange owners. Like large ownership of this company too. What? They bought 30 shares. That's pretty bullish. Big change, big change. Stonehill. All right, these guys, are these guys value? This is maybe for the biotech part that they hold. This is a strange mix of companies. Okay. So not really anybody that like interests me per se. There is ownership, so that part's good. You know, trade super cheap price to sales, but that's only because, you know, these metrics they're at least improving from last year. So last year was pretty ugly. I mean, like, what happened to turnover here? This must just all been from COVID, because I mean, we're talking back up to 100%. And what were they doing here? It's a little bit different of a business back then. It's almost too far back to look too far. All right, there's another one too. I just want to see when the debt's due. Yeah, I don't know how you guys out there, I don't know what, like the kind of thing you've been looking at. I just find that like lately in terms of like real value, I feel like a lot of stuff's kind of overpriced. So just this like extremely distressed stuff is where I think there's opportunity. I mean, this is 70 cents, and like we just look at a long chart here. I mean, if they can recover, they've been here before. You can get a recovery here back up to $4 for whatever reason it did this spike. I mean, hell, in March it got down to below 60 cents. Is that an all-time low? It is an all-time low. Wow. So really struggling here at the bottom. All right, so they got stuff kind of all over the place. I like how they break this out, though. I wish everybody did this. Where sorry, I got to scroll down even a little more. Where it has the finance leases, the debt, the total. Like, it's all broken out by year. Like, if every company did this, that would be awesome. Which I think because all this is in here, this means that they truly own all of these businesses in full. So either way, even by next year, they have a lot coming due. So in the next 2 years, in 2024, they have 81 due, which is actual debt, not really leases. And I don't think they had much cash, did they? Oh, they're close. All right, so they could probably handle the debt. They could definitely handle the debt for that. I mean, it might lead to more dilution, which it doesn't look like they're afraid to dilute here if they have to. But once again, I mean, we're talking negative book value, and it's getting uglier. You know what's? I mean, these earnings are terrible. They've had 2 positive years. If we just take out that year, you know, I mean, the difference is massive. I'll have to look to more see if, you know, what's the chance they could spin something off here, because they have sold. I mean, they sold this for $664 million, wherever that was, and that was in 147. So they can handle the debt. It's not that they can't handle it. It's just making sure that they have something that someone wants and someone will actually buy. Trying to figure that out is the difference here. All right, let's drop down here. All right, so first off, it's a holding company. High debt. It had some ownership. It's pretty small. Poor fundamentals. You know, S just saying that it needs to probably sell or something just to basically survive. It's gonna need something else, and I have it worth 81 cents right now, which is probably not totally unreasonable for a fair value. So we'll just say around like 55 cents, somewhere in there, become interesting. To me, that is, you know, that's just because I'm always looking for at least a 50% discount. You know, and so you guys will see me too. You know, I'll probably have people criticize me for, you know, not always looking at the 10Ks and stuff like that. But I just don't always have time to go through all these companies and look at this stuff. So typically, I usually start with more of like a top-down approach, and then once I have like a basic idea of what's going on, then if it interests me, I'll do a real full bottom-up analysis where I really start digging into transcripts and 10Ks and 10Qs, and but it's got to really interest me up until that point, because up until then, if like, you know, if no one's looking at it, and I mean no one, not even other value investors, there's probably a reason why. Because even among the value investor group, especially like deep value, like someone's gonna notice it. You know, there's enough of us who do this all day, you know, looking for this stuff, that someone's gonna find something. All right, let me just disable that. And then, so because that's all I had from the other day there, so we'll start deleting all this stuff, and then we'll update and just get a few more tickers in here. So hopefully there's, so I have I'll pull in the stuff from Monday, because I always have it to refresh Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and then my insider buys refresh constantly. So you can probably close out a bunch of this stuff. Double check BNED here while we're sitting here. we'll find out if there's anything else going on with anything here. Yeah, so nothing really happened. Pretty low volume today, which I think it's because everyone, like, you know, if you're buying yesterday or today, I mean, I guess if you wanted to wait until kind of last second, but we'll see. Still doesn't. I doubt there's any news. No, well, we'll keep checking. I'll check Twitter real quick, see if Twitter's saying anything. This guy Mike had put out some stuff on it, but it's more of kind of a rehash of what we've all been talking about. Not that I don't appreciate someone doing the analysis and whatnot, but heavy option volume on BNED. Is that true? If anyone's in here, does anyone know where I can check option volume? Today's volume was 1,200. Average volume's 1,000 on 30 day. So I don't think that's that crazy. But I mean, if you're going to buy options, it's probably the last chance because from here on, it's going to go in one direction or the other. And I bet the volatility is going to be pretty wild. So the options will be expensive from here on out. I do own a chunk of options, but that was really just because when I bought them, they were so cheap. It was just like, you can't not buy them there. All right, let's go back to here. All right, we're all ready, so we can update this. All right, let's start digging through some of these guys. We'll see what else is going on out there. All right, so anything here looks interesting. They incorporated in 1995. They've had some quick jumps within a month, but nothing ever too exciting. Oops. Just too expensive, essentially, at this point. Let's see what else. What I need to do is I gotta make another list. I used to have it where I had all my charts for the companies I own on stock charts where I could just quickly look through them. So I gotta update that so I can go to my tickers and just quickly look at them. So normally I just check like my account, but obviously I'm not pulling my account up on here. That is quite the peak and skip back downwards. Is that all just COVID related? This is renewable energies. Wow, that's how much they generate in revenues versus that market cap. Never mind. Lost my interest. I talked to Johnny. He said he didn't find much, so I don't know. Maybe there's got to be something on here to find. I've never not found something. It's insurance. They always look interesting, but it's just insurance. Let's see here. Is there anything else that looks interesting in this realm? Kazoo was up. We were just looking at that. 10% too. It's 10%, but it's on a pullback too, so it's like, I don't know. I didn't have much faith in that one. And so about 10 times on sales to price to sales. Same on assets. But there's another one where they're not really generating anything. I don't know if there's gonna be enough there. Is there news or anything on this? Volume's really low too. I mean, someone likes it at 75 cents. But that might be like an all-time low somewhere around there. That's the 52-week low, so I mean, sometimes it changes a little bit, but nothing impressive. How many shares outstanding are there? 30 million. He invests 12 million more. 12 million. So he's a pretty. This is 12 million more too. So I wonder how much he owes, which is probably all of this if it was 2 months ago. So honestly, this entire this entire jump here is only because he invested in this thing. Everyone else is pricing it for dead. So, I don't know. AMC. You know, I haven't looked at AMC in like a really long time, I feel like. I'm just curious. Actually, let me enable this real quick. I just want to see how they look. I haven't looked at AMC in a while. I guess at this point, so there's not really much pulling in here that I've looked at or been able to find. I can just use my ad hoc one and just search tickers. So. But yeah, this is another reason I want to get through BNED, so I can start to feel like it's worth really delving into some of these other things too. Because like I said, my cash is all kind of like tied up at the moment, so it's kind of a pain. It's a lot of red. This is slightly distorted from... I just want to adjust this calculation real quick. So I get, yeah. Generated EBITDA with a massive share dilution. They have a lot of debt. You know what's crazy is AMC raised. They made all of that money from all the meme stock stuff, and they didn't take that capital and do something with it. And I remember when the whole GameStop thing was going on, I was one of the few people that I also looked at AMC and bought. And I just bought some option contracts, and they paid out really well. Really dumb, so I had no idea what I was doing back then. But those paid out super well, and it was right when the whole GME thing happened. And I literally bought them like at one of these bottoms right here. And sold out way too early, though. Way too early. Because, I mean, oh my God, I'm like looking at this and I'm like, oh my God, you know how much money I would have made off those? I would have just held them. But I didn't know what I was doing. I just saw the positive gains at the time, so I just took them. But it's crazy back then because I swear when I bought them, they were like $1. Like the share price was like $1. So I don't know what they've split and how they've done this. So I don't know what it is. But like this goes to show you how cheap it is today. Because if it's at $3, but on a graph it looks this ugly. What is it? Can't you do like underscore or something and it adjusts it for, or is it semicolon? Is that what it is? I thought there was something you could do. I don't remember what it was. There's something you can do where you can see it and it removes the splits, so you can see it more real on how the numbers have been. Which I know most people don't want to look at it like that, but oh well. And then they don't really do much. I mean, they've done acquisitions in the past, but they haven't really sold off much or anything. So, I mean, they're still sitting on cash. But they're, oh my God, their debt is so high still. How much is that as operating leases though? I mean, so it must be a big chunk of that's operating leases. Doesn't probably change all that much, but no, that's balance sheet. About half of it is okay. So I mean that's a big deal. So it doesn't look nearly as levered as it is, even though it's still super levered. got stuff due all over the place. The senior secured due in 2026, that was massive. That's a... And they have another billion due. Oof. All right, so 2026 is... They better figure out something by then. They're gonna make it through there. I mean, and maybe they can keep amending it, but that's another thing. You know, it's just strange to me. I've been thinking about them talking about how they're gonna do rate cuts, and it just doesn't seem like anything's gonna be stopping inflation or bringing it down anytime soon. Just the fact that the Fed keeps buying more and more, and I don't know. I don't see how that leads to lower inflation, which makes me think that this rate cut, they keep saying, yeah, we're going to do 3 this year. And like, I don't know. I don't know if they're going to do... I wouldn't be surprised if inflation tends to kind of continue running where it is right now, which is kind of hot. So, I mean, it's obviously way better than what it's been, but I feel like it's going to be sticky for a little bit here too. So... My point being is I don't think interest rates are coming down anytime soon. I think a lot of these companies that are really down here, unless like you're like a BNED type character where there's something that's really going to turn around. I mean, obviously you can get that. That's why I'm starting to look at all this assets, you know, and try and figure out, is there any interested buyer in these? And obviously AMC is a name that people would probably buy and pay for. The problem is that debt. So what I think is this will go through some form of bankruptcy, and then someone will snag up what's left of it. But as a shareholder, I mean, that's not a reason to get involved now. CBD is still down, huh? And way down. I'm always dumbfounded because I just find that this company seems to just look so cheap to me. It's actually loading it in here. It usually doesn't take that long. This one I might have to adjust the data because it's only said it's retrieving 10 rows, and I feel like it may have been not that long ago that it IPO'd, but yeah, no, it needs to be adjusted here. This one just has yearly reporting. All right. And I know I get it, revenues are way down. It just seems like it's worth more than this just at a baseline, but earnings are at all-time lows. They got a bonus of capex of 579 million. So I don't know. Maybe they really are in really rough shape right now. Because without that capex, whatever that return was here, they actually would have been negative, like negative EBITDA. It looks like they paid debt down with that. Either that or they just paid this cash towards that debt. I'd have to figure that out. So I don't know. I guess maybe it is justified. I just and I know there's foreign risk with Brazil and some of these other Latin American countries. So your risk premium changes. But I do have my calculations adjust everything into U.S. dollars, so I don't even know what inflation is down there. I don't know if it's really bad or if it's getting better. I'm not sure. All right, honestly, I'm not even seeing anything. I'm not seeing anything else there that really interests me. Oops, I meant to go to insiders here. Let's see if there's anybody buying recently. City trends. There's been quite a bit of buys going on. Not trading cheap though. This is my problem. I feel like lately with a lot of the insider buying is that people are buying, but like I don't know, stuff just doesn't seem all that cheap to me. Someone's buying GTN. They've been interesting to me. We can probably take a look at them just to see if there's anything else going on with them. But not a lot of buying. I'm not going to look at Clearway Energy. Even though there's a good amount of buying there. Don't care about Alto Neuroscience. 5-Star Bancorp don't really interest me. It's another biotech, Libra Media, that's just Buffett doing his thing. Lulu's had someone buying down as I noticed that this got a little cheaper. Apparently they've been struggling a little bit. I mean, Lululemon is still a pretty great business, so when they're struggling, it's not quite like the others. Still purchasing in advanced. Yeah, technicals it's getting oversold, but I can't remember what I had said advanced I thought was worth at the time. Was it somewhere around there? That's actually above what I had advanced measured at. So honestly, that's probably not an unfair valuation. Epsilon, I don't think has enough room to move there. I saw they've been purchasing in snow, but it's too big for me. I guess we can pull up GTN. That's honestly the only other one that's really catching my eye right now. Which we looked at GTN on here not that long ago, I don't think. So I don't know if I'll be able to find too much different going on. We'll see. Just close out some of these. Oh, I gotta adjust this. There's a lot on your eyes when you got 20 years of data here. What is this, quarterly? One of these days I'll up my budget and I'll pay for the full 20 years of data from ShareRadar, but as of now I feel like 10 years is good enough. You know, the only time sometimes I wish I had 20 years of data for some of the cyclical stuff. That's honestly the only thing though that's really like stood out to me that I'm like, I wish I could see further back how it's mattered for them. Especially because I feel like COVID, you know, like a few of these years kind of are always like strange in comparison to the rest. You almost can like cut them out a little bit. Actually, have a company that, oops, I didn't mean to do that. I'll do that. Pays a dividend. A lot of debt. And all these things, I mean, all these things are distressed. That's why they're all, that's the only things that you can find that are cheap these days. Because honestly, I get fair valuation just by looking at this real quick around like $6. So another thing too is well, interesting, still not cheap enough. Revenues are up, which is good. And there's the insider buying here, which who is that? Howell Hilton. The Howell families buying 10,000 shares, which 10,000 shares when you own 5 million. I don't know how much that matters to me. So yeah, the insider doesn't really do much for me. Said we own this. So their #1 holding, huh? They bought them in 2023, around $9. All right, well. I mean, they own quite a bit. I mean, they just don't take as large as positions, but I would argue that these guys are value. Some of them. Some of their bigger positions are. They own a mix of things. Okay. They have any recent presentations or something? Oh, there we go. Which is 36%. Yeah, this is, I guess, a catalyst. You know, they're going to get probably a lot in ad revenue. Hey, Max, how you doing, man? Been kind of a quiet night, Max. Just trying to find just some basic companies and stuff, and nothing's really stood out so far tonight. Obviously, BNED's on my mind, so I'll be excited for that tomorrow. See what's going on there. I'm out of beer already. It's only 9 o'clock. I say it's only 9 o'clock. says data casting revenue from next gen TV broadcast could reach $5 billion in revenue, huh? What is their current revenue? 3.2, and they're talking 5 by 2027. Huh? That's interesting. They want to deliver to 4 times. So what are they at right now? 4 times what? To operating cash flow? To revenues? To assets? The preferred shares, I just noticed too. I just want to see how much they have in preferred. More than I'd want them to have, that's for sure. All right, well, good to know that they have preferred shares, because that's... And they are still paying their dividend too, right? 32 cents, yeah. And then what are they doing like with like SG&A? Is this coming down? Actually, it's pretty good at 3%. It's got to get some of these margins back up. And that's another thing that's kind of, you know, revenues are up, but earnings are quite a bit down. Val, you were saying that's for GTN? Gotcha. Okay, thank you. Yeah, so value's just saying that in the last transcript they were saying that they're getting into the lower 5s and then they're trying to push it into the 4s, and that's based on net debt on of cash basis, and that's for their senior credit facility specifically. So they're saying here their free cash flow the percentage for as compared to their operating cash flow is better than last year. It's been better in the past though. But it still looks like free cash flow should be about 391 million from last year. So yeah, if they can keep getting that up, and then if they can get, this is the thing I'm talking about. Like they have to pay these preferred dividends. They're slowly working that debt down, but you know, it looks like they're at least pummeling that free cash flow back into the debt, which is good because that's really what they need to do, especially if a big chunk of it. When was it due? We got until 2026, so they should be able to kind of get these into a better spot. But even between 2026 and 2027, I mean, they're proud to say that their interest rates are capped entering February 2023, but if they have to refinance somewhere in here, if this gets a little tricky, just because that's a lot that's due really kind of in a tight amount of time. And if we're paying off 300, you know, I would like eliminate this, but I don't see how you eliminate all of this unless you drastically increase the amount of free cash flow coming in. All right. I mean, they don't have to pay the dividends too. So I mean, that's the other thing too. Is like, have they talked about cutting their dividend at all? No, they're keeping the dividend going. So I get it. That's holding the stock price up a little bit, but like, I don't know. I think I'd be focusing that cash on the debt, trying to get that down. I mean, they said they're going to be happy to run it 5 to 4 times, but the problem is like if these ratios stay like this, I mean, you can't run at those leverage rates, not even close. You know, and this is a really stupid amount of spending done just between these years. I mean, this is like where all their debt comes from. It's just from these acquisitions, which that's 19 to 21, which obviously big increases in revenue, but big decreases in all these rates for margins. So I don't know if that was necessarily a great idea. All right, so new CFO. So yeah, no, I mean that's not a bad thing. Sometimes too, especially if you said he's been there for 25 years, maybe they just need someone new in there. So I'll put that in there. I said last time he needs to cut the dividend. I'll put new CFO. Thank you for pointing that out to me. Obviously, these are things normally I'd be kind of peeking more into, but I'll have to fix my stupid ad blocker. All right, so I said it was around 6 that I thought it was interesting. Or I thought fair value is around 6. So somewhere around 4-ish would be interesting to me. I'm gonna put this one on deck. And I'm just gonna say they have a good narrative. I'm more just kind of interested in seeing how they if they can get out of this. But gotcha. Yeah, I mean, if you got someone on your side that you're gonna pull in, that doesn't sound like a bad name. So we'll see from there. And maybe they can do something. I looked at. Is there anybody else that was interested to own this? Just as capital management. Did I put that in here that there's owners? I'm going to throw that in here too, that there's owners. Yeah, I don't know. I would cut the dividend to try and delever this thing. I know some people are against that because they don't want to see the equity drop anymore. But if you're not talking about selling equity at this point, who cares if the share price goes down for a year or two? But it helps you to pay off, a significant amount of the debt, because let's be real here. We're talking 32 cents times 95 million shares. Over the course, it's like $100 extra million you had if you did that for 3 years. And if you took it the preferred out too, which is 650,000 shares or 52 million. Yeah, they've been paying that really steady. I mean, preferred shares actually. I wonder what those are trading at, because those maybe those are interesting here. I'm not going to buy preferred shares. It's not my thing, but if that's something that interests you, the preferred shares here might actually be interesting if they're going to keep paying that 52 million out. What does that come out to if it's 52 million? I think there's 650,000 shares. Yeah, but I would have to look at what par value was. I think it was saying that they were worth 650 on par. Which, man, they must have raised a ton of cash from that. When did they first? Whoops, that's not what I meant to do. When did they put these out in 19? So they put that out and they took on all the debt, huh? No, that's not cash. They did add a substantial amount of debt here too. They spent all this cash. They took on the debt. They took out preferreds. This must have, they better hope that was worth it. And now they're buying shares back. They sold shares too? Talk about a crazy way of raising capital. Either that, or if it's from something they bought, the shares got added in, or are those convertible preferreds? I didn't even notice that. It doesn't say convertible, so I don't think they are. So I don't know. We'll see. Obviously a big catalyst from them this year is the elections, and being the fact that they own all kind of like vanilla cable channels. They could see a huge rise. So let's see. 2020, what was revenues were up? It's kind of a tough year because there's a lot going on there. But yeah, I mean, maybe. Looks like an extra 200 million. So I mean, an extra 200 million would go a long way for them. I'm just guessing at these jumps you're seeing in the actual election years. Yeah, cash flow sees a pretty significant jump in those years too. All right. All right, well, that's all the tickers I have. So if you guys have any other tickers you want me to pull up and go through, please let me know. Because at this point, there's not much to go over. We can sit and keep looking at BNED. No notes, nothing. No one's talking. Doesn't look like anything new there. Still nothing. Not that I expect them to put something out at 9 o'clock at night. Yeah, so I don't know. I guess we'll just we'll have to keep waiting and see what's going on. Just trying to think if there's anything else worth going through. Go to the watch list here, see if there's anything that's looking cheap here. Med's still down here, and it's holding up down here. It's actually oversold right now. So it had a little spike and then right back down to kind of its lows here. I just saw a study coming out that said the GL1 or GLP1 or GL1P drugs like Ozempic and Wegovy and all those is actually apparently not working for a big swath of the people trying to use it for weight loss. It's great for some people, but not for others. So, you know, anytime I hear anything that's going against that whole narrative, I know that's super bullish for Medifast. So, I'll keep an eye on that. Excuse me. But it's close to what I would consider buy territory around here. Not offshore, still trending low, which is interesting because I feel like the offshores drillers are starting to come back up. I noticed slowly but surely, you know, you're watching, you know, oil start to creep back up to that 90 range. You know, I noticed at the pumps, I don't know where you guys live, but stuff's starting to slowly get a little bit more expensive, which I know isn't a perfect indicator, but still, I feel like it does correlate somewhat. What's going on with lumber? Just kind of creeping from the lows. I think in here, under my charts, can do this, and then I can go back to my dashboard here. Let's do just 1 year daily. So this is the companies I own, which there's not too many right now, and some of these are smaller positions at this point. I saw Alto starting to pull back a little bit here. Let's scroll down a little bit so you guys can see it a little better. And I know Johnny and I have talked about Alto quite a bit, and I think as we head into the summer, I think this will trickle back up just because I don't see much bearish news besides if they mess up this next quarter. I think this last quarter was kind of mixed in terms of what we thought would be. So we'll just have to see from there. Adherent, I've been selling here just because I don't really know where it's going to go from here. It just kind of... It's kind of reached what I thought would be, you know, fair valuation. It's actually above my fair valuation. So, ARK continues to kill it. I sold too much of my ARK position, and I got back in. Luckily, I got back in. So I bought in. I don't remember. I think it was last year, somewhere it was in October. I think it was on this pullback here, and I don't think I hit the exact bottom, but I got in pretty cheap, and then I think on one of these like little sell-offs, I ended up taking like a big I took like most of my gains there, and then I bought in, but I bought in on one of these peaks, like real close to when it got back to the quarters, because I figured that I shouldn't have sold down here whenever I got out in here. And then I rode this up, and the only problem is my position. I didn't get as much as I probably should have. I was so focused on other things that I didn't get too much into this one, and but I'm still holding my ARC position now because it still looks great. Oh, BNED. This chart is all over the place. Hopefully we'll get another nice spike here tomorrow. We'll see. Should be pretty good volume. Grand Tierra, I hop back in. I don't have a real big position, and, you know, I'm up. I don't know. I think it was on, like, one of these pullbacks, because I think my cost basis is, like, 560 or something. Somewhere in here is where I got back into it. And I was talking because I know this is Johnny's second biggest position, and we were talking about it, and I was looking at it when it was down below 5 again, and I was just like, I don't know. I'm like, I feel like it never accumulates to like what I would hope it would. Even though I'm super bullish, I think the management's awesome there. These guys are doing buybacks, they're paying a dividend, they're killing their numbers. It's literally just the risk from Colombia and Uruguay. Is the one thing that holds it back. I took a position in Jax on this pullback here, just on the fact that I think you're going to start to see some movies that come out this year that'll kind of lead back into the toy industry. So my cost basis in here is somewhere around 23, I think ish, somewhere around there. So I think this was a bit oversold. But, I mean, you can see when good news or bad news comes out, this thing kind of gaps up and down. So, Universal I got in, I think on this little pullback here is when, and I don't have a big position because I wasn't really sure on how much I thought this would go up. But it's been doing better than I thought. And like I said, at this point now, like, too, like, I'm so locked into BNED with my cash that, like, but it's been a decent holding. I've been contemplating on kind of taking some money back, but it's not a real big position, so I'm also kind of just letting it ride a little bit. So we'll see from there where this goes. But yeah, I feel like this is another year where, you know, if you would have asked me going into the year how I thought this year was going to look, I would have thought that it would have been kind of, I mean, I guess you start to think that we're going to actually nail this soft landing here, but just the numbers to me, it just doesn't seem like we're going to, based on like long-term fundamentals. But and I'm not a macro person really. I mean, I like to look at that stuff, but, you know, it doesn't really matter to me because honestly I'm still just looking at companies and kind of investing based on the company. And you know, I do put stop losses and stuff in place. Sometimes they're pretty big, but it's more just on the idea that, you know, I wouldn't get totally murdered if something completely collapses. Because most of my stuff in lately, I've been putting like a 15% stop loss on. Because typically when I'm buying, like, I already find it's at lows. So if it goes much lower than that, like, you know, I probably will get out then. Because it's not doing what I thought it would do. The only exception to that one's BNED. BNED's the one that, and normally I don't like double down my position, which I did double down with BNED. And I've been adding shares this whole time down here. Just every time I see pullbacks, I'm adding shares just because I'm still so bullish on the thesis. So, but yeah, I'll probably call it here, guys. It's almost 9:30. I don't think I have too much else to add here. But thank you for tuning in. Johnny will be on Thursday in his normal time, so we should be able to comment on what's going on with BNED. Like I said, I mean, we'll see. I don't know if I'll have time to. I'd like to throw up a video tomorrow just based on whatever ends up happening. But if I did, it would be short. It wouldn't be like a full live stream or something. I mean, unless whatever the news is like extremely bullish, which, you know, I picture it to just kind of be that they amended their credit. So we'll see. At this point, there ain't much changing here. Yeah, I'm just curious to see what they end up pulling off. Like I said, I think they're board. They have an interesting board team. Got a lot of experience on it. So we'll see what they manage to pull out of their hat here. All right, well, everybody, Value, thank you for throwing in some extra stuff. I was just having this stupid difficulty. I'll just have to honestly just sign out and let it like reset, and then, you know, update my account again. But yeah, I think that's pretty good there. Otherwise, I'm happy with the portfolio. I'll be real happy if BNED does well tomorrow, because I'm down on BNED. The whole portfolio is down probably about 15% based on my cost average. So if it really hits me tomorrow, like let's say bearish case, I don't know what it would be, total dilution or something insane, and it really plummets, you know, I could see a 25% being down 25%, somewhere in there. And then, you know, and obviously, I think it was Max maybe had asked a question. I don't know if Johnny actually answered you, because he was just telling me that someone was asking comments, and I think he was saying that you were asking about what's like our plan if things don't go our way. It depends, because it depends on what the news is. It depends on if you know, like even if it was to go to bankruptcy, like you know, I'd have to look more into it and see what's going to happen on the outside of bankruptcy. Obviously, you know, maybe it's too late. Maybe I'll take some of my position off the table just to hedge my losses, and then hold some of it through bankruptcy to see if you can come out on the other side. Because obviously, if you can make it onto the other side as an equity holder, you know, there's been some crazy success stories with that. Not to say that would happen for sure. So as always, guys, please do your own due diligence. I'm sure you guys all know this, but, you know, I just feel like it's important to keep harping on that. Just because, you know, I like I said, this is my risky portfolio that I'm willing to lose capital on. You know, I don't want to see someone else lose capital that really like matters to them. Not that it doesn't matter to me. Don't get me wrong. It's directly benefit me, but like, but it is different when you have, you know, if that's like what you have and you're riding it on, something like this. So close out of there. But so yeah, so it'll just depend. It'll depend on what the news is. You know, because there's gonna be, you know, the stock price could potentially go down on some kind of like dilution type thing. But if it's not like a dilution where I think it's like that big of a deal, I'm gonna hold through that anyways, because my investment thesis is still on the idea that the company's turning around, and that over the next few quarters, the market will start to reappreciate what this is. Even if the news tomorrow is quite what I'm hoping for. So it really just depends on the news. It's hard for me to say what my game plan is without knowing it more. So take that for what that is. At this point, nothing's changed in how I'm holding. I'm just holding right now and just waiting essentially. You know, I have no plans right now of changing anything. Good or bad news until I can see and know more and kind of let it sift through my brain here. So, but on that, everybody, hope you have a good night. Like I said, even if I don't do a video tomorrow, I'm sure we'll put out something. I mean, you'll see us posting about all this stuff anyways. So, at a bare minimum, we'll do something along those lines. But have a good night, everybody. Happy Tuesday. Like I said, Johnny will be on Thursday at his normal time, and then we'll reconvene on Saturday. I'm just trying to think. I'll be out of town on Saturday, so there's a chance I might not be able to do this weekend stream. Johnny might still do it, but but we'll let you guys know. You can always check our X account. That's where we put these kind of things if time changes or anything occur. So just check there if you're interested and you want to watch the stream live. We'll update if we're going to change anything. It's always on X that we'll put it up there. But and maybe we don't. I guess I've been using the BNED page, but that would be a stupid place to put that. So maybe we can create a Reddit page specifically for this too. I don't know. We'll figure out where else it's. Or because like you can't really put it like in the YouTube comments, like a comments section for it, so it doesn't really matter. But all right, guys, everybody have a good night. Thank you for everybody who tuned in. Thank you as always. Appreciate you guys. Appreciate everything that you throw into the stream and whatnot. You guys always make it much easier to keep doing what we do. All right, guys, have a good night.